The Garuda is a large mythical bird-like creature, or humanoid bird that appears in both Hindu and Buddhist mythology. Garuda is the mount of the Lord Vishnu. Garuda is the Hindu name for the constellation Aquila. The Brahminy kite and phoenix are considered to be the contemporary representations of Garuda. Indonesia adopts a more stylistic approach to the Garuda's depiction as its national symbol, where it depicts a Javanese eagle. In Hinduism, in Hindu religion, Garuda is a Hindu divinity, usually the mount of the Lord Vishnu. Garuda is depicted as having the golden body of a strong man with a white face, red wings, and an eagle's beak and with a crown on his head. This ancient deity was said to be massive, large enough to block out the sun. Garuda is known as the eternal sworn enemy of the Naga serpent race and known for feeding exclusively on snakes. Such behavior may have referred to the actual short-toed eagle of India. The image of Garuda is often used as the charm or amulet to protect the bearer from snake attack and its poison, since the king of birds is an implacable enemy and devourer of serpent. Garuda Vidya is the mantra against snake poison to remove all kinds of evil. His stature in Hindu religion can be gauged by the fact that an independent Upanishad, the Garuda Upanishad, and a Purana, the Garuda Purana, is devoted to him. Various names have been attributed to Garuda: Sharada, Gaganeshwar, Kamalusha, Kashyapi, Kjeshwar, Nagantaka, Saitanana, Sujahara, Supana, Tarkshaya, Vainatya, Visanurada and others. The Vedas provide the earliest reference of Garuda, though by the name of Shyena, where this mighty bird is said to have brought nectar to earth from heaven. The Puranas, which came into existence much later, mention Garuda as doing the same thing, which indicates that Shyena and Garuda are the same. One of the faces of Shra Paur plus or minus Kamaka Hanuman is Mahavira Garuda. This face points towards the west. Worship of Garuda is believed to remove the effects of poisons from one's body. In Tamil Vaishnavism, Garuda and Hanuman are known as Pariyadurvadi and Siriyadurvadi respectively. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the middle of the battlefield Kurukshetra, Krishna explaining his omnipresence, says as son of Vinata, I am in the form of Garuda, the king of the bird community, indicating the importance of Garuda. Garuda wears the serpent Adisesha on his left wrist and the serpent Gulika on his right wrist. The serpent Vasuki forms his sacred thread. The cobra Takshaka forms his belt on his hip. The snake Kakotaka is worn as his necklace. The snakes Padma and Maya Padma are his earrings. The snake Shankashuda adorns his divine hair. He is flanked by his two wives, a Rudra, a unregistered trademark, and a Sukathi, a unregistered trademark or. These are all invoked in Vedanta Desika's Garuda Pankashath and Garuda Dandaka compositions. Garuda, flanked with his consorts Rudra and Sukathi, can be seen worshipped in an ancient Sumya Keshava temple in Bindaganaval in Karnataka state of India. Garuda Vahana is worshipped in Tantra for apijara and to protect against apijara. However, the interesting thing is that Garuda is the Sankarsana form of the Lords who during creation primarily possesses the knowledge aspect of the Lord. The important point is that Garuda represents the five Vayas within Usaprana, Apana, Vayana, Udana, Samana through his five forms Satya, Supana, Garuda, Tarkshaya, Vyajeshwara. These five Vayas through yoga can be controlled through pranayama, which can lead to kundalini awakening, leading to higher levels of consciousness. Garuda plays an important role in Krishna Avatar, in which Krishna and Satyabhama ride on Garuda to kill Narakasura. On another occasion, Lord Hari rides on Garuda to save the devotee elephant Gajendra. It is also said that Garuda's wings when flying will chant the Vedas. With the position of Garuda's hands and palms, he is also called Kayandi Perumal, in Tamil. In the Mahabharata, Birth and Deeds. The story of Garuda's birth and deeds is told in the first book of the great epic Mahabharata. According to the epic, when Garuda first burst forth from his egg, he appeared as a raging inferno equal to the cosmic conflagration that consumes the world at the end of every age. Frightened, the gods begged him for mercy. Garuda, hearing their plea, reduced himself in size and energy. Garuda's father was the creator Rishi Kasyapa. He had two wives, Vinata and Kadru, who were daughters of Prajapati Daksha. Kasyapa, on the pleadings of his wives, granted them their wishes. Vinata wished for 2 sons and Kadru wished for 1,000 snakes as her sons. Both laid eggs, while the 1,000 eggs of Kadru hatched early into snakes. The hatching of 2 eggs of Vinata did not take place for a long time. Impatient, Vinata broke open one egg, which was half-formed with the upper half only as a human and was thus deformed. Her half-formed son cursed her that she would be slave for her sister for a long time, by which time her second son would be born who would save her from his curse. Her first son who flew away and came to prominence as Aruna, the red spectacle seen as the sun rises in the morning, and is also charioteer of the sun. The second egg hatched after a long time, during which period Vinata was the servant of her sister as she had lost a bet with her. When the second egg hatched, a fully grown, shining and of mighty-sized bird form emerged as Garuda, the king of birds. Garuda was thus born. One day, Vinata entered into and lost a foolish bet, as a result of which he became enslaved to her sister. Resolving to release his mother from this state of bondage, Garuda approached the serpents and asked them what it would take to purchase her freedom. Their reply was that Garuda would have to bring them the Elixir of Immortality, also called Amrita. It was a tall order. The Amrita at that time found itself in the possession of the gods, who guarded it zealously, since it was the source of their immortality. They had ringed the elixir with a massive fire that covered the sky. They had blocked the way to the elixir with a fierce mechanical contraption of sharp rotating blades. And finally, they had stationed 2 gigantic poisonous snakes next to the elixir as deadly guardians. Undaunted, Garuda hastened toward the abode of the gods, intent on robbing them of their treasure. Knowing of his design, the gods met him in full battle array. Garuda, however, defeated the entire host and scattered them in all directions. Taking the water of many rivers into his mouth, he extinguished the protective fire the gods had thrown up. Reducing his size, he crept past the rotating blades of their murderous machine. And finally, he mangled the 2 gigantic serpents they had posted as guards. Taking the elixir into his mouth without swallowing it, he launched again into the air and headed toward the eagerly waiting serpents. En route, he encountered Vishnu. Rather than fight, the 2 exchanged promises. Vishnu promised Garuda the gift of immortality even without drinking from the elixir, and Garuda promised to become Vishnu's mount. Flying onward, he met Indra, the god of the sky. Another exchange of promises occurred. Garuda promised that once he had delivered the elixir, thus fulfilling the request of the serpents, he would make it possible for Indra to regain possession of the elixir and to take it back to the gods. Indra in turn promised Garuda the serpents as food. At long last, Garuda alighted in front of the waiting serpents. Placing the elixir on the grass, and thereby liberating his mother Vinata from her servitude, he urged the serpents to perform their religious ablutions before consuming it. As they hurried off to do so, Indra swooped in to make off with the elixir. The serpents came back from their ablutions and saw the elixir gone, but with small droplets of it on the grass. They tried to lick the droplets and thereby split their tongues in 2. From then onwards, serpents have split tongues and shed their skin as a kind of immortality. From that day onward, Garuda was the ally of the gods and the trusty mount of Vishnu, as well as the implacable enemy of snakes, upon whom he preyed at every opportunity. Descendants. According to the Mahabharata, Garuda had 6 sons from whom were descended the race of birds. The members of this race were of great might and without compassion, subsisting as they did on their relatives the snakes. Vishnu was their protector. As a symbol, throughout the Mahabharata, Garuda is invoked as a symbol of impetuous violent force, of speed, and of martial prowess. Powerful warriors advancing rapidly on doomed foes are likened to Garuda swooping down on a serpent. Defeated warriors are like snakes beaten down by Garuda. A field marshal Drona uses a military formation named after Garuda. Krishna even carries the image of Garuda on his banner. In Buddhism. In Buddhist mythology, the Garuda are enormous predatory birds with intelligence and social organization. Another name for the Garuda is superior to the first, meaning well-winged, having good wings. Like the Naga, they combine the characteristics of animals and divine beings, and may be considered to be among the lowest devas. The exact size of the Garuda is uncertain, but its wings are said to have a span of many miles. This may be a poetic exaggeration, but it is also said that when a Garuda's wings flap, they create hurricane-like winds that darken the sky and blow down houses. A human being is so small compared to a Garuda that a man can hide in the plumage of one without being noticed. They are also capable of tearing up entire banyan trees from their roots and carrying them off. Garudas are the great golden-winged pengbirds. They also have the ability to grow large or small, and to appear and disappear at will. Their wingspan is 330 yojanas. With one flap of its wings, a pengbird dries up the waters of the sea so that it can gobble up all the exposed dragons. With another flap of its wings, it can level the mountains by moving them into the ocean. There were also the 4 Garuda kings: a great power virtue Garuda king, great body Garuda king, great fulfillment Garuda king, and free at will Garuda king, each accompanied by hundreds of thousands of attendants. The Garudas have kings and cities, and at least some of them have the magical power of changing into human form when they wish to have dealings with people. On some occasions Garuda kings have had romances with human women in this form. Their dwellings are in groves of the Simbala, or silk cotton tree. The Garuda are enemies to the Naga, a race of intelligent serpent or dragon-like beings, whom they hunt. The Garudas at one time caught the Nagas by seizing them by their heads. But the Nagas learned that by swallowing large stones, they could make themselves too heavy to be carried by the Garudas, wearing them out and killing them from exhaustion. This secret was divulged to one of the Garudas by the ascetic Karambir, who taught him how to seize a Naga by the tail and force him to vomit up his stone. The Garudas were among the beings appointed by Shakra to guard Mount Sumeru and the Triyastriya to the first floor in heaven from the attacks of the Asuras. In the Mahasamyaka Sutta, the Buddha is shown making temporary peace between the Nagas and the Garudas. The Thai rendering of Garuda as Vishnu vehicle and Garuda's quest for elixir was based on Indian legend of Garuda. It was told that Garuda overcame many heavenly beings in order to gain the ambrosia elixir. No one was able to get the better of him, not even Narayan. At last, a truce was called and an agreement was made to settle the rancor and smooth all the ruffled feathers. It was agreed that when Narayan is in his heavenly palace, Garuda will be positioned in a superior status, atop the pillar above Narayan's residence. However, whenever Narayan wants to travel anywhere, Garuda must serve as his transport. The Sanskrit word Garuda has been borrowed and modified in the languages of several countries. In Burmese, Garudas are called Galone. In Burmese astrology, the vehicle of the Sunday planet is the Galone. In the Kapampangan language of the Philippines, the native word for eagle is Galara. In Japanese a Garuda is called Karura. For the Mongols, the Garuda is called Khan Garuda or Kangarad. Before and after each round of Mongolian wrestling, wrestlers perform the Garuda ritual, a stylized imitation of the Kangarad and a hawk. In the Qing dynasty fiction The Story of Yu-Fei, Garuda sits at the head of the Buddha's throne. But when a celestial bat flatulates during the Buddha unregistered trademark S expounding of the Lotus Sutra, Garuda kills her and is exiled from paradise. He is later reborn as Song dynasty general Yu-Fei. The bat was reborn as Lady Wang, wife of the traitor Prime Minister Qin Hui, and is instrumental in formulating the Eastern Window plot that leads to Yu's eventual political execution. It is interesting to note the story of Yu-Fei plays on the legendary animosity between Garuda and the Nagas when the celestial bird-born Yu-Fei defeats a magic serpent who transforms into the unearthly spear he uses throughout his military career. Literary critic CTO explains the reason why Qian Kai, the book's author, linked Yu with Garuda is because of the homology in their Chinese names. Yu-Fei's courtesy name is Penju. A peng is a giant mythological bird likened to the Middle Eastern roc. Garuda's Chinese name is Great Peng, the golden-winged illumination king. As a cultural and national symbol. In India, Indonesia and the rest of Southeast Asia. The eagle symbolism is represented by Garuda, a large mythical bird with eagle-like features that appears in both Hindu and Buddhist mythology as the vahana of the god Vishnu. Garuda became the national emblem of Thailand and Indonesia. Thailand's Garuda is rendered in a more traditional anthropomorphic mythical style, while that of Indonesia is rendered in heraldic style with traits similar to the real Javan hawk eagle. India primarily uses Garuda as a martial motif. Garuda Commando Force is a special forces unit of the Indian Air Force, specializing in operations deep behind enemy lines. Brigade of the Guards of the Indian Army uses Garuda as their symbol. Elite bodyguards of the medieval Hoysala kings were called Garudas. Kerala and Andhra Pradesh state road transport corporations use Garuda as the name for AC Mir fusel buses. Garuda Rock, a rocky cliff in Tirumala in Andhra Pradesh, 13th century Arugala chief, Maga descends. Insignia was Rishabha the sacred bull and the Garuda. Indonesia uses the Garuda, called the Garuda Pancasila, as its national symbol. It is somewhat intertwined with the concept of the phoenix. Garuda Pancasila is colored or gilt gold, symbolizes the greatness of the nation and is a representation of the elang jaw or Javan hawk eagle Nicetus bartilsi. The black color represents nature. There are 17 feathers on each wing, 8 on the lower tail, 19 on the upper tail and 45 on the neck, which represent the date Indonesia proclaimed its independence, August 17, 1945. The shield it carries with the Indonesian Pancasila heraldry symbolizes self-defense and protection in struggle. Indonesian national airline is Garuda Indonesia. Indonesian Armed Forces United Nations peacekeeping missions is known as Pasukan Garuda or Garuda Contingent. Airlangga University, one of the oldest and leading university in Indonesia, uses Garuda on its emblem. The emblem, containing a Garuda in a blue and yellow circle, is called Garuda, and depicts Garuda as the bearer of knowledge, carrying a jug of Amrita, the water of eternity, symbolizing eternal knowledge. In Bali and Java, Garuda has become a cultural symbol. The wooden statue and mask of Garuda is a popular artworks and souvenirs. In Bali, we can find the tallest Garuda statue of 18 meters tall made from tons of copper and brass. The statue is located in Garuda Wisnu Kencana complex. Garuda has identified as Indonesian national football team in international games, namely the Garuda team. The stylized brushstroke that resemble Garuda appear in the logo of 2011 Southeast Asian Games, held in Palembang and Jakarta, Indonesia. The stylized curves that took form of Garuda Pancasila appear in the logo of Wonderful Indonesia tourism campaign. Thailand uses the Garuda as its national symbol. One form of the Garuda used in Thailand as a sign of the royal family is called Krut Fair, meaning Garuda, the vehicle. The statue and images of Garuda adorned many Buddhist temples in Thailand. It also has become the cultural symbol of Thailand. Mongolia, the Garuda, known as Kangarud, is the symbol of the capital city of Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar. According to popular Mongolian belief, Kangarud is the mountain spirit of the Bogd Karnal range who became a follower of Buddhist faith. Today he is considered the guardian of that mountain range and a symbol of courage and honesty. The bird also gives its name to Hangad Aviation, Kangarud, a football team in the Mongolia Premier League also named after Garuda. Garuda Ord, a private construction and trading company based in Ulaanbaatar, also named after Garuda. State Garuda is a title given to the debut runner-up in wrestling tournament during Mongolian National Festival Nordam. Gallery. See also. Notes. External links, The Garuda Purana, by Ernest Wood and S. V. Subramaniam, 1918 archive.org, The Garuda Purana at sacred-texts.com, Garuda Purana.